Okay, so today I'm going to show you a really easy recipe for making meatloaf. The first thing you want to do is make sure you preheat your oven to 350. You want to get a baking pan out, and then you want to get your ingredients. And you can see you don't really need a lot. You need 2 pounds of ground beef. Mine's a little bit less. There's only 2 of us, so I'm going with more like 1.5 pounds. An onion. You need some saltine crackers, an egg, some salt. And you only need a little bit of salt, so if you're just getting it out of your salt shaker, that's fine. Tomato sauce and some milk. Okay, so once you have your ingredients, you're ready to get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've added my ground beef to a bowl, and now I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. So I've got my onion. This is about half of the onion, depending on how much onion you like. Maybe that's too much, you can leave it out. Anyways, put some onion in there. And I'm going to go ahead and crack an egg in there. I'm going to put some salt, and I only use, I just put some in the palm of my hand, so it's probably about a half a teaspoon of salt, not very much. Okay, I'm just go ahead and put that in there. And then I'm going to put some saltine crackers in there and crumble them up. And I probably used about 8 or 10. I just grabbed some, and then I just kind of smush them up. You don't want to put too many in there because it'll give your meatloaf kind of a mushy taste, but just crumble them up and put them in there. It helps kind of hold your meatloaf together. Okay, so that's enough. And then this is kind of the weird thing that you do. You put a little bit of tomato sauce in here, just maybe 1/4 cup in there. You don't really have to measure it, but put some tomato sauce in there. And then you go ahead and you want to get to a 1/2 cup, and so you're going to go ahead and put some milk in there now, and so that you've got about a half of a cup total. And then just go ahead and put it in there, and you're ready to start mixing it up. Now here's the fun part. You're going to get your hands in there and just start mixing the whole thing up. Okay, it's pretty gooey, pretty yucky, and if your ground beef might be really cold, so sometimes it's really kind of hard to do this. So you want to keep mushing it up, mixing it together until it's all in there really well. Okay, if you find that when you're mushing it up, it's still too wet, keep mushing it up for a little bit, but if it's still too wet, then you can add a little bit more cracker in there. That will kind of help. But mine's ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to place it in my pan. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over. And then I'm just going to kind of shape it. Mine is a little bit smaller because I don't have that full 2 pounds. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shape it. And now it's ready to go ahead and go in the oven. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven now. Remember, you set your oven at 350. Go ahead and pop it in there. And the only thing that I put everything else away, but you want to keep the rest of that tomato sauce handy because you're going to be using it. So go ahead and put it in the oven and then set your timer for 30 minutes, and then we're going to come back to it. Okay, so the timer's gone off. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the oven. Be careful because it's really hot. Now, this is not finished. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the oven, and that tomato sauce that I saved, I'm going to go ahead and pour it on top of the meatloaf. Okay, so I usually use a whole can, but since this is not really 2 pounds, I may not use the whole thing. So pretty close. Okay, so just so that it's all over the meatloaf. And then, okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put it back in the oven. And I'm going to set my timer for another 30 to 45 minutes. That's going to vary depending on your oven, and also depending on how much you're cooking. So like mine is only 1.5 pounds, so I'm just going to go for the 30 minutes. If you go for the full 2 pounds and you tend to need to cook a little bit longer in your oven anyways, then you might want to go for the 45. But however you decide, you can always check on it after 30. But set your timer so you don't forget to come back. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the oven. It should be done now. And again, be careful because it's really hot. And so you can see that it's done. One thing you'll also notice is that there's a lot of extra grease in there. So before I serve it up, I'll actually go ahead and pour out a little bit of the grease. Okay, so I've poured out the extra grease so that it makes it easier to spice up. And I'm gonna go ahead and cook up some corn and some potatoes, and then dinner's ready to go.